Okay, perfect. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And hello, everybody. Happy to be back again. I hope you all had a wonderful new year and are just kind of getting back into the swing of things. I know things are gearing up for our team. So it's going to be a busy, busy summer. We're kind of getting back to the new normal, which is what I'm going to be talking to you about. Can everyone see my screen? Are we good? Can we see my slides? Thumbs up. Thank you, Katie. Wonderful. All right, great. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about getting back to the new normal. You know, the pandemic is slowly wrapping up. Things are opening up again, and we're starting to kind of be able to move forward again after a pretty long period of being kind of frozen in many ways. And so with that kind of the opening up of everything, we're also starting to see some tech trends that began to emerge during the pandemic and that ultimately are going to be here to stay. So I'm going to share some of that information with you today. And so for those of you who know me, hello again, Rio from Clio. If you don't know me, I am the Senior Affinity Partnership Manager at Clio. And what that means is that I get to work with all of our fantastic Bar Association and Law Society partners all across North America. I also get to do a lot of public speaking, and I spend a lot of time helping lawyers understand how to best use technology and data insights to make informed decisions about how to better serve their clients and to run efficient, thriving practices. And if you haven't heard of Clio, we are the world leader in legal practice management software, and our suite of products helps lawyers manage everything in their practice from intake to invoicing. Also, I've got my email on there too, rio.peterson@clio.com. If you have any questions, want to get in touch with me, don't be shy. I'm here to chat. Okay, so on our agenda today, first we're going to take a quick minute to just talk about, you know, what is the new normal? What is this kind of new space that we are navigating? And then we'll talk about some tech trends that are here to stay. And then I got a little surprise. I'm going to talk about some consumer trends that are here to stay, but they all relate to technology. So I'll definitely tie in that tech element. And then hopefully we'll have time for some questions. Okay, so what is the new normal? So historically speaking, it is during times of crisis that times of crisis and volatility and uncertainty that we see some of the most pronounced leaps forward in terms of innovation and technology adoption. So crises confront us with and also provide us with the opportunity to think differently and to create rapid changes in response to our current situation. And those changes often have a very long-lasting effect. For example, if you think about the advances in plastic surgery and reconstructive surgery that came about as a result of some of the horrific wounds inflicted in World War I, some of those techniques are still used today, and that was a major push forward for the medical industry. And so the COVID-19 crisis has been no exception. You know, COVID has dramatically accelerated the adoption of new technologies across all industries. There was not a single sector that was not impacted by the pandemic in some way, shape, or form. And in particular, where lawyers and the legal industry are concerned, the impact of the pandemic and the changes necessary to navigate it have been vast and deeply felt. So social distancing and lockdown orders have meant that law firms were forced to adopt new technologies, often overnight, in order to continue to not only serve their clients, but in many cases, it was a matter of survival. And just like all law firms were impacted by the pandemic, so too were consumers. Over the last 2 years, more and more consumers have turned to technology to do everything from staying connected with family and loved ones during lockdown, to grocery shopping, to dating, to accessing legal services. And a recent consumer study conducted by Salesforce actually found that 58% of consumers are using more technology now, and technology is more important to them now than it was prior to the pandemic. And ultimately, that makes sense. I think we all learned a lot about using Zoom in the last 2 years and other types of technology to keep us connected. But they also found that consumers, 88% of consumers, expect companies, which includes those offering a service like law firms, to accelerate digital initiatives due to the pandemic. So that means that they expect companies to move quickly when it comes to making digital options available to them. And what that also means, or what that means for both lawyers and their clients, is that the technology and tools that we've become accustomed to over the past 2 years are here to stay. This is the new normal. This newfound comfort with technology and the expectation that every experience at least have some kind of digital component is here to stay. And what that means for businesses and for law firms is that those that are best suited to thrive in this new normal are the ones who are embracing a digital experience and working to meet clients where they are. Okay, so let's move into talking about some of the kind of high-level tech trends that we've observed over the last 2 years that we really believe are here to stay. So the first one is the automation of basic admin tasks. So despite the forced adoption of technology that law firms have experienced over the course of the pandemic, the legal industry remains bogged down by work that is performed by people, work performed by people that is better handled sometimes by technology. Things like task management, client intake, appointment booking, et cetera. These are all things that can be handled by tech tools. And so a common theme that we hear from Clio customers, and particularly small and solo firms, is that moving to virtual client meetings during the pandemic, while convenient and accessible for clients, actually created a lot of work in the form of getting clients used to using those programs and adjusting to the change. And that extra time spent helping their clients navigate the new normal has meant that there is less time for things like administrative tasks, less time for those small things that are essential to running a law firm, but don't necessarily contribute to the amount of money or billable time that the firm is performing. And so as a result, more and more lawyers are turning toward automation to get some time back in their day. And the increased use of other types of technology by lawyers, video conferencing, et cetera, has led more and more of them to feel confident in their ability to start using technology to solve some of the pain points and growing pains, perhaps, that their firm has been experiencing. And they're interested in using technology for more than just tracking time. Not only that, but automation allows lawyers to serve a much larger legal market by saving time and changing that one-to-one service model that has traditionally served them. So when your members are coming to you saying, I don't have enough time, perhaps it's worth suggesting that they try some automation. Automation doesn't have to be a boil the ocean exercise. It can be as simple as creating email templates of commonly sent emails that they're sending to clients. Not only that, but doing little things to save time ultimately adds up and can make a big impact on a business's bottom line and provide a lot of extra time for anyone who is struggling to serve their clients and also practice law. Okay, so the next one is interest in digital interfaces from the courts. Now, I am sure that all of you remember in June 2020, when the first ever court trial to use video conferencing took place. That was a really exciting moment. I mean, maybe I was the only one who was excited about it, but I thought it was really quite the leap forward for Canada's overburdened legal system and the legal system as a whole. So now that we're slowly coming out of the pandemic, we're seeing courts continue to offer virtual hearings for a selection of trial types. And so this is largely due to the proven convenience of virtual hearings, in addition to the overall expediency when compared to in-person proceedings. Not only that, but they allow for a greater access to justice by allowing regular citizens to watch trials and participate in our justice system, and also by giving clients the option to attend virtually. That actually allows for less missed work and less financial strain for them. So ultimately, not only does it allow them to attend the proceeding, but it also helps with their peace of mind during what is naturally a very stressful time for them. And that's not to say that virtual hearings are perfect. Naturally, with any new adoption of technology, there are some growing pains. Many proceedings have suffered from poor Wi-Fi connections, inexperience with using technology, using tools, poor access to hardware like mobile devices. But as the courts continue to work through those issues, which they are, we will definitely see this trend begin to stick around. All right, so next thing I want to talk about is this increased focus on data insights. Now, this doesn't necessarily directly relate to technology, but it is certainly a place where technology can play an important role. So one thing that is certainly true for the pandemic is that it has exposed every single person to a tidal wave of data and information. Pouring over graphs of infection rates across the country and the world were certainly a part of most people's daily routine. In addition to providing a sense of comfort or anxiety, depending on how you want to look at it, this increased exposure to data communicated the vital role that having access to metrics can play in how we make decisions about navigating the world. And an interesting trend that we've observed is that more and more lawyers are seeking out data insights, not just about overarching trends in the legal industry, like those provided in Clio's Legal Trends report, but also they're looking for data and metrics and insights about their own law firms. So the pandemic has really forced legal professionals to think about the way that they work and to try to identify ways to work smarter in order to stay afloat. Over the last 2 years, Clio has observed a significantly increasing interest in capturing data from our customers, in capturing data and building reports that identify what work is getting done, who is completing that work, and how efficiently. And in fact, learning to interpret data insights was actually the most widely requested topic at our upcoming cloud conference, which, for the record, we've been doing for 9 years. So for the first time in 9 years, that is the most commonly accepted or requested topic for CLEs and for kind of education that we're providing at the conference, which says a lot. It's quite a big deal. And so typically these firms, they're trying to answer questions like, how profitable is my practice area? Or how profitable is a specific attorney or paralegal? And in the past year, law firms have really realized that they can get a lot of work done with less. And they will now want to see, how this transfers into more profit. So investing in technology tools like legal practice management or client relationship management that have robust reporting functionality with easy to understand reports is key for firms wanting to capture data to help drive decisions to making, that will lead to a more profitable business. Next is increased focus on cybersecurity, and this should not come as a surprise to anybody. With the increase of people working remotely due to the pandemic, and with the increased use of tech tools, there's naturally been a significant rise in cyber attacks. For example, according to Reed Smith, it's a law firm, Reed Smith, online scams spiked more than 400% in March of 2020 compared to previous months. That's a huge, huge spike. And Google as well revealed that it was blocking more than 18 million malware and phishing emails related to COVID every single day. So every single day, 18 million emails trying to initiate a data breach. So that's a lot. That's a huge increase in cyber attacks. And the threat of cyber attacks has been further exacerbated by organizations failing to prioritize cybersecurity awareness and training for their employees. The use of poor security practices and the increasing use of mobile devices for work has resulted in data being unprotected and vulnerable to theft and breaches. In fact, most data breaches are inadvertently caused by an employee who was not aware of the best security practices. For example, they click on a link in a suspicious email, and just like that, their entire system is compromised. So law firms of all sizes should be well-versed in security practices of any vendors they work with, but also they should be investing in their own cybersecurity systems, which will ensure that their data is protected no matter where their employees are working. And that doesn't just mean, having virus protection on everyone's computers. It also means educating employees about how to spot risks of cyber attacks, how to mitigate those risks, how to avoid them. And, and it also means ensuring that they all have things like a secure Wi-Fi connection, that you are enforcing strong passwords, that you are requiring everyone to lock their computers. It goes much further than just having the right software in place. And so if you were able to, or if you're going to offer a piece of advice to any of your members, particularly those who are wanting to continue to run a virtual law firm as things begin to open up, or those who are incorporating more technology into their practice, that piece of advice should be to educate themselves on cybersecurity and have a plan in place in case something happens. But more importantly, have a plan to prevent something from happening. Okay, so now I want to shift and I want to talk a little bit about consumer trends and how technology can really help lawyers to navigate those trends. So the pandemic, the first one is a focus on client experience. Now, the pandemic has provided consumers with a vast selection of convenient experiences through companies like DoorDash, Uber, Shopify, et cetera, et cetera. Now, consumers are able to go online and with the click of a button, they can have food show up at their house, they can have clothing, they can get a car delivered, they can buy appliances, anything, even a date if they want to, but and each of those experiences is intentionally set up to be easy, right? It's set up to be as easy as possible. And as such, consumers now more than ever, after having spent 2 years in front of their computers, have come to expect that same ease of experience in every interaction they have. And that includes the experiences they have with their lawyers. They want a client experience that is convenient, it's seamless and transparent. They want to easily be able to find a law firm online. They want an almost immediate response when reaching out to that firm. They want to know the exact process of dealing with their case, and they want it to be really easy to pay their bill when everything is wrapped up. So what that means for law firms is that offering an exceptional client experience has and continues to become a competitive differentiator for law firms. Investing in technology like virtual receptionists, chatbots, and things that provide the appearance of 24/7 availability, or tools like client portals that allow clients to get case updates and pay their invoices without having to contact the firm. Those things are key to crafting an exceptional client experience and will ultimately increase both the quantity and quality of cases for law firms. So, higher bar for communication is definitely something, a shift that we've seen amongst consumers as well. And when it comes to thinking about the client experience, communication should be at the top of the list. Over the last 2 years, consumers have become accustomed to having multiple options or ways to communicate with each other. Video calling, email, text messaging, voice over IP phones, etc., have all made it possible for consumers to instantly connect with others and to get their questions answered in a timely fashion. So ultimately, the status quo for how we meet and communicate has permanently shifted. And as a result, lawyers, if they haven't already done so, need to pivot to find new ways to engage with current and prospective clients. They need to focus on new and seamless communication and collaboration channels for every part of client engagement, from sales, hiring on a new client, right through to invoicing. And that doesn't mean that lawyers and law firms should be doing away with older types of communication completely. Rather, they should be providing a wider range of communication options to their clients in order to allow their clients to choose the channels that best suit their own needs. And something that I do want to mention is that this higher bar for communication doesn't mean that lawyers should be jumping through hoops and foregoing sleep to better serve their client. But rather, this is an opportunity to set expectations with their clients around communication and to work with their clients in order to better understand their needs. So this is ultimately something that can be a win-win situation. And, as I'm sure many of you are aware, or maybe even be feeling, maybe you've even felt that the last couple of years have been very stressful. And not just consumers, but I think everybody is maybe looking for a little bit more empathy. And consumers in particular have come to expect empathy in their interactions with companies. So consumers are more wary and anxious than ever. And so imagine then adding to that anxiety, the stress around having to deal with an unexpected legal issue. And it's not hard to believe that consumers are, again, looking for empathy in addition to their legal services. They're not just coming to you for a will, they're coming for peace of mind. So not only do customers want and consumers want quick responses to their concerns, but they want it in a compassionate and empathetic way. And this really ties back again to communication and that expectation of a better client experience. Attorneys cannot work 24/7, but by investing again in tech tools that provide a human touch, such as, websites and chatbots, and, by understanding that clients are not just seeking answers to their questions, but are also looking for some peace of mind, law firms will be able to deliver empathy and to stay competitive and thrive for years to come. And this is certainly a shift in how legal services have been delivered in the past, but now more than ever, bedside manner matters. And it's becoming a competitive advantage. Again, in order to thrive and survive in this new normal, we have to rise to the challenge and offer clients that little bit of peace of mind in addition to the legal product that we're offering them. All right. And so lastly, now this is not necessarily a consumer trend. This is just a point that I want to touch on that is perhaps the most overarching trend that we have found when it comes to the trends that are here to stay. Ultimately, it all boils down to the desire to work smarter and not harder. And this really applies to the lawyers and legal professionals that, Clio works with and that just are out in the wild there. The last 2 years have presented them with unprecedented challenges that have literally forced the legal industry to evolve at a rapid pace. I mean, some estimates say that we have done 10 years worth of technology adoption in just 2 years. I mean, that is extreme. I mean, that's, similar to industrial revolution levels, which is incredible. But it has become very, very clear and very quickly that if lawyers are going to adapt to this volatile environment, they need to find ways to work smarter. They have recognized that by leveraging technology tools to assist with things like automation, to help with client communications, to offer a better client experience, to help with security, that they can find better and new ways to serve their clients without having to sacrifice their time and their mental health to do it. Now, I personally am very excited about the increase in curiosity and acceptance of tech tools within the legal profession. It's been a long time coming, but ultimately, I really passionately believe that Canadian lawyers are going to enjoy a robust and flourishing legal industry for years to come, and to be able to practice law in a much more efficient and accessible way, owing to the tools that they're able to leverage in order to do so. But most importantly, I really do think that this means that they'll not only survive this new normal, but they're going to thrive in it. All right, and that's all for me, friends. Are there any questions from anybody?
We have a few minutes. If anyone has a question for Rio, please chime in.
Yeah, happy to answer them.
I don't see anybody on my screen.
No.
All right, well, in that case, if anyone wants to follow up with Rio, we'll leave it for you to do so after the fact. And Rio, thanks for being here, for sharing these insights, and also thank you to Clio for your ongoing involvement in our plenary. We really appreciate it, and this is I think helpful context for those tools.